Hello, 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 and welcome back to my channel. So as you can see, we're going to be talking about the Suez Canal, and I see people are already starting to talk about it. But before we do, I gotta say hello, and I have to wait for Frank to come back. Apparently, I don't know how that works. Hey, Seek Truth, good to see you. Who else have we got? We have Dave, Critical Cripple, Tusk, great to see you. Always great to see you in the chat. Glass Monster, it's been a while since we had a chat. Good to see you, man. Basic Trig, how are you doing? Let me see. Sable Eagle. Yeah, we have to wait until Frank comes back. He ordered me to wait for him to get back. So we're going to do that. We're going to be nice. And I see Dart in the chat as well. And Sable Eagle has a tree for me. Thank you for the tree. I think. I don't know. How are you, Chris? Good to see you. I'm loving the music that's been put up on your channel recently. We have Mike Hall. How are you? Yeah, I decided to go live today because it's just something that I've been looking at recently. Hi, Dave. How are you? We have Dave N as opposed to other Dave. Mr. Fenris. Did I say that right? Mr. Fenris? If I did, that's an awesome name. I love how already people are, so how can we do this? How can we fix this? Well, first of all, I'm going to explain a little bit what the Suez Canal actually is, which most people probably already know. And then explain what happened in the last few days. Because, yes, I got it right. I got it right. But it's an interesting. You have a £14.99 stake in it. You want to be compensated, Tusk. Where did you get? Why do you have a stake in it? I'm curious now. Why do you have a stake? That's very strange. Unless you have something on one of the ships that's supposed to come in, but I don't know. They won't sink. They won't sink it because it's a multi-billion-dollar issue. Yes. They're not going to be sinking anything. And plus a tanker of this size, which we're going to talk about in a little while, you're not going to be able to sink anyway because it's so big. Tusk bought a guitar from China. Why? Why? Do I even want to know? I suppose because of lockdown, and there goes my nose. Because of lockdown, I suppose it makes sense. I don't know. Such a random thing. Such a random thing. Hello, Johnny O. We have the plot hole in the house. Bad Astra. Well, as long as Bad Astra was decent, I'm not going to blame anyone. I know Seek was live before. I was having a chat with people and like preparing for this because yeah, I've been doing my homework. You have to, don't you? You have to. Jenny Morgan, how are you? Yes, exactly. I will be getting into that. The canal is way too shallow for it to sink. Things taller above the waterline. Yeah. It's not going to sink. At least the front didn't fall off. That's true. That's true. But we will be getting into again what the Suez Canal is, what it's used for, and why it's so important, and how, if they can, how to get this massive, massive tanker back to sea, basically, which is what everybody wants. Yes, it's doing much, much, much better than the unsinkable Titanic. The ship is still stuck. They're not going to get that out for weeks. That's my feeling on it. But again, we will get into this. Is there a current in the canal jamming in place? No. And again, I'm going to get into that because I was talking today to a friend of mine who is he is a first mate on one of those tankers that is waiting to get through. So he was explaining it in a lot more detail than I would have known. So yay, Yay, first mates. So I'll be explaining a little bit. Well, most of you will probably already know it, but I'll be explaining what actually happened. Jenny, that could take even longer than actually getting the tanker, because it would divert. But again, this is definitely going to speak of. It would divert energy away from actually getting this thing freed, and a bypass around the canal, especially for tankers this size, when they don't have the infrastructure, is not going to be a realistic solution, because that's going to take longer than it would take if they just put everything into getting the tanker free. But again, we'll definitely. I love this. I love this. People are definitely interested. Sorry. 30%. Yeah. We're going to get into that, definitely. Daybreak and Flint, it wasn't so much that the captain tried to drift, more so than, again, we'll get into this properly, but there was a big sandstorm, that completely destroyed visibility, and so they had to go on drift. They had to kind of slow it down and bring it back, and that's where, when you get even the slightest 30 kilometer or 30 miles, actually, I think it was 30 miles an hour gusts, those containers, the container area then acts like a kind of sail, and you don't have control of that vessel when there's that kind of gust of wind. And it's not just wind that came with it. So I love the fact that everyone is already trying to come up with solutions, and we're definitely going to get into them in the midst of this discussion, because I am a nerd girl, if you haven't noticed, especially when it comes to economics and sociology. I am a nerd girl. It's what I studied. It's what I eat, sleep, and breathe half the time. So this to me is very interesting. It's not the first time, by the way, that a vessel has gotten stuck. And we're going to look into that too. Some bastard threw a shopping trolley in the canal and it got snagged. Oh, wishful thinking. I do like the idea of a shopping trolley going into the canal and getting snagged on it. If you know anything of Dublin at all, you'll understand that there's more shopping trolleys in our canals than there are fish. It's nerds here. Fake news. Hey, sarcastic barman, how are you doing? Good to see you. Right, so let's get into it. Is Frank back yet? I am being nice. I am trying to wait for the people who actually want to hear the discussion and take part in the discussion. I love the fact that everyone is already, what can be done? Turtle moves, we're definitely going to get into that, because it didn't help. It didn't help. But there's two big reasons of what actually happened to the Ever Given. So before we get into that, a little bit of history if you don't know much about the canal itself. The canal opened in 1869. The construction took about 10, 11, 12 years from when it was first commissioned and thought out to when it was actually opened. Shut the lock at one end, raise the water level for. It's not that kind of canal, but I understand where you're coming from, because you're talking about like 200 feet of a ship, like 200 feet of a ship, and it's I would love the idea of just opening and shutting the canals. Check your DMs. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. I have a lot of DMs. I think a lot of DMs. Glass Monster, I know about that already. Long story. Hey, Jefferson. Good to see you. someone also interested in these kinds of things, it's great. So yeah, there's no locks. There's no real locks on the Suez Canal. I know, I'm actually popular for once. I don't know what's happening here. Why is everyone all of a sudden sending me messages on Discord? Hey Theo, has Frank come back? You know what? I'm sorry, Frank. We're doing this. We're going to get into it. So yeah, it opened in 1869. It's a long time for it to be, but it was first talked about during the last kind of pharaoh's time. So the first instances of a canal being kind of dredged initially was the idea of the Egyptian pharaohs, not even modern day thinkers like you would imagine. So it connects, if you don't know where it is, I do need to upload stuff, don't I? So that you can see where it is. Give me 1 second. Because we all know that I can't talk and do other things. We all know this. I'm brutal. I'm brutal. This one. So, just to free up a few things while that's uploading. Grand Math Pig, definitely lurk if you need to. You're not blue. I'm sorry. Yes, look at the bright side. The lawyers are doing very, very well. Right, did this come up yet? Yes, it did. Okay, so this is the canal. This is the blockage to the canal. Sorry, it's a 400 meter, not a 200. 400 meter ship. And so these are the ships in and around the canal as of like the yesterday evening. So you already see there's like about 200 ships in the region trying to get through the canal. That's significant. That is quite large. So given that the Ever Given has to be large in the first place, to block up that kind of that space. But that's where it is. So you have Egypt over the left-hand side. You have Israel and Jordan over the right-hand side. But you can already see the backlog. The backlog is mighty. It is mighty. Hold on. Yes. Suez has a lock now. It's called the Ever Given. The problem is opening the lock. That's the other problem now. It's definitely one of the biggest ships in the world. And we're going to get into why that's happened, because that's only a recent phenomenon over the last 30 years. Didn't bring. Yeah, I'm getting distracted by the chat now. Right, so back to this. In 2020, about 19,000 or 18,500 vessels actually went through the Suez Canal. That's, 51 a day? Which is incredible. It is used by tankers from... Oh, Barman, for fuck's sake. Yes, Barman, absolutely. I just saw your message. Yes. I'm not going to say anything else. So yeah, there's about 50 to 60 that use the have they lost the key? They lost their minds. That's what they've lost. But yeah, there's about 50 to 60 that use the canal every day. It's run by a group called the Suez Canal Authority. And yes, it is nationalized. So the Egyptian government pretty much helped run it alongside the UN because of a long story. But back in 1956, there was an attempt to remove President Nasser, which wouldn't have been the worst thing, to be honest, by Israel, followed by the UK and France. So there was an invasion of Egypt. And ever since then, and it was because the canal had been nationalized. Because it's on Egyptian waters, they had the right to nationalize it. The UK didn't like it because, oh, Scott Duke, thank you. Hello, new sub here. Oh, wrong one. New sub here. Enjoyed your last stream. Thank you. Hopefully it wasn't too complainy because it did kind of annoy me. But yeah, back to this. So 1956, there was a move to remove President Nasser because he decided to nationalize the canal. One of the main reasons for that is because during the First and Second World War, Allied troops, particularly the UK and France, actually owned it. Don't encourage it. Yeah, it's not a good idea to encourage me. Have they called Moses? Christ, Ricardo. I love it. Love it. I don't think they have him on speed dial. Moses didn't really have a mobile phone, did he? I don't know if I mean, they could shout at the top of a mountain and call him, but I don't think he'd hear. Anyway, it's an interesting thing because it was the first time that the US, the USSR, and the UN actually worked together. So by 1957, the Allied forces and Israel were actually forced to withdraw. That was a big blow to, and math big, hush, I know, phrasing. But yeah, it was a huge problem for, it was seen as a big defeat, basically, for the Allied forces because they had used it in World War I, World War II, in order to prevent non-Allied forces from using the canal. And actually, at certain points in time, they actually helped other nations defeat enemies. So 1955 then, a year before this happened, there was, I think, over a million anyway. There was over 1 million barrels a day of petroleum oil going to Western Europe. So that's significant. That was, you know, throughout World War II, you were relying on oil coming from the Middle East, which we still are today. And what's incredible is when initially on Tuesday and Wednesday, when it got stuck on Tuesday, Wednesday, the price of oil went up by 3 points, by 3%. I hear about Tattie. Is Tattie-bogle in the chat? Hello, Tattie. I can't remember what I was saying because I'm gonna close the chat. No, feck off chat. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. You know I love you guys. A green blockade. Yes. Hello, Tattie-bogle. You distracting fuck. But okay, so really quickly. There's been problems in the past. It led to the canal being nationalized by the Egyptians. So the Egyptians have a unified task force with, I know unified task force sounds all fancy. It's a lot less fancy than it sounds, but it's with the UN and UNICEF and people like that. So it just makes sure that the canal stays neutral, that things that are needed are able to get, whether it's wartime or 3%, math big. That's what I said. It went up 3%. Yes, people have a fascination with me saying 3. So there you go. Have to give the people what they want, apparently. Clocks are a lie? No. Clocks are not a lie. Cake is a lie. Cake is a lie, barman. Cake. The cake is a lie. Especially the one that Tusk gets me for my birthday, and then it all of a sudden disappears. It doesn't get to me because he eats it all. Right. So before we get into what the canal is used for now and the kind of specifics of this issue, really quickly, there's been 2 in the last 20 years. Dave, can you stop licking people? It's not nice. Well, I don't know. What cube? What cube? Barman, explain yourself. I'll give you cake if you put that cube in the fire. What cube? Uses under. We're going to get into that definitely, Mr. Androt. So the past occurrences. The first one happened. It was a Liberian oil tanker called the Tropic Brilliance, and that ran aground in 2004, and it was not quite as far up as the current one, and it was a lot smaller as well. But it still took 3 days to get that back on the water, and they estimated, I think it was 27 million to get that free. It was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. Then the other one was the Japanese ship called OOCL Japan. And that was in 2017. That was a lot more recent. And I remember that actually. People freaked the fuck out big time. But it was refloated a few hours later because the tide came in. And thankfully that actually prevented disaster, because in 2017 there was actually a lot of traffic, whereas at the moment yes, there's a lot of traffic, but there's not as much as you might think because of the virus. So okay, 3 days, that is a quick response. It's especially for tankers this size. You have to understand the scale of the thing. I am going to show you just real quick in a sec the size of what we're actually talking about, because this is not a small ship. And that goes without saying, but this is not a small ship. If I can find it now. This is quite a big ship. So this is taken from the air. Just let me grab this. Don't mind me, guys. Sorry, but you want to see it. Well, I want to show it because it's important for context. So this is taken from by a satellite, which I know CGI. Damn, I need Creaky's thing, don't I? I definitely. What? Oh, people. Good night, Math Big. If you're going, I'm not sure if you're going, but yeah. Okay, so this is taken from a satellite. This is the kind of thing you're talking about. These are not small ships, not at all. And I want to give you a bit of information real quick about the Ever Given. The Ever Given. Think of a container. Do you know those storage containers? All of these little white dots and green dots. These are large 20-foot containers. So, I mean 20-foot containers. These are big containers. This particular one, the Ever Given, can carry up to 20,000 of these 20-foot long containers. Like, that is massive. That is absolutely massive. The scale at which most normal people can't really. 20s are stubby little things. Most normal people can't really understand, unless you're actually sitting there staring at and looking at a picture like this. Doesn't really give you the scale, except for understanding the length of this thing. But if you were standing, you're a speck to this. Go to any port and you will see one's half this size. You will not see one of these because there's only a certain amount of these large shipping containers. And in around the middle where you can see all the containers, the main containers, this is what I was talking about. It's called windage. The container area acts like a sail. So as soon as the wind picks up at all, that's 20,000 lorries full. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. There you go. Think of 20,000 lorries. Twice as big as the buildings in London. My Amazon order is on that tub. I love it, the idea of calling it a tub. And I I forgot. I forgot who I was talking to. We have mathematicians and stuff, people who actually like math for fun. Like Daybreaker Flint here. I'm not sure. Yes, I think that confuses me. You're asking me to do math after a 10-hour shift in work. That's not going to happen. So thank you for doing the math, because yeah, for me it's ridiculously big. And again, I'm going to get into a little bit of why it's so big. But these are highly, highly sophisticated. This isn't just a little tub. I know, for want of a better word, this isn't a little ferry. I've had to live practically on a ferry to get home over the last 7 years. So I know what a ferry can do. And the ferries, even in and around Ireland, have amazing, sophisticated machinery that will actually tell you where the slumps in the water, under the water are, and where the peaks are coming, and where is the best place to actually bring the boat. So these are highly sophisticated machines with the most modern equipment. You have to remember, this is a Japanese container. You have to remember, this is the highest of the high right here. The wealthiest people in the world pack these things with every ounce of modern tech. And every 2 to 3 years, the tech is changing and evolving. So there's new tech going in there, maximum every 5 years, maximum. The Ever Given was only upgraded there about 1.5 years ago. So again, it's up there with the highest, most modern equipment. So this is not just a small little thing. Wasn't it the normal cruise sailing? Yes, and again, critical cripple, I am going to get into this, the Suez pilots and some of the conspiracies around the pilots as well. I'm going to explain that in a few minutes. But this is going to Rotterdam from China. So most likely it had PPE gear. Most likely it had clothing, car gear, etc., etc. This thing is 1,300 feet long. That's how long this is, 1,300 feet. It's incredible. You don't really see many of these on the oceans. There's probably only about 3,000 max of this size or of this caliber. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. So yeah, again, what is the Suez Canal actually used for? Before we get into how this can be sorted, the global economy puts through between $6 and $10 billion worth of stuff a week. Not a month, not a year, a week. So every day that this thing is blocking the canal, that's another nearly billion euro or dollars. And poor Tusk is not getting his guitar. That's the main thing now that I'm concerned with, that Tusk gets his guitar. Hopefully, Tusk, hopefully that it's not on this tanker, but a tanker that went before it. Because if it was on this tanker or any that come after it, good luck. You're going to be waiting a couple of months. That's my feeling on it. The other route takes an extra 10 days. Yeah, I'll get into that now in a second. Yes, Colon raises a good point. Computer equipment, graphic cards. Yeah. The global economy is going to be screwed if we can't get this done. And I say we as if I can do anything about it. Oh my God, Daybreaker Flint again has done the math. There we go. He has the exact measurements of the Ever Given. Thank you for that. It is a superstructure. It is a bloody superstructure. It's like a bloody home on the ocean. It's like a fucking floating hotel for containers. And again, it's probably the angle of the picture, but yeah. Yeah, so the main thing that goes through the canal these days is retail is a big thing. Mainly from Asia to Europe. Oil, obviously, there's 30 oil tankers at the moment. There's about 30 oil tankers either side of the canal trying to get to and from the Middle East to Europe. So just to give you an idea, 4 million barrels on 10 tankers of crude oil. 4 million barrels on 10 tankers. That's incredible. That's a huge, huge amount of oil. 75,000 tons of oil are on 4 long-range tankers. Can you imagine what that's going to do to Europe if there's significant delays? It's absolutely mind-boggling. And the other thing is the car assembly. Now, I want to go into this a little bit before looking at possible solutions, I suppose. The car assembly and everything from car assembly to pharmaceuticals, because we are such a globalized, get your extra toilet paper now. Yes, panic ensues. Thought PBS said it was as long as the Empire State Building is. I think PBS, I don't mean to be bad, but PBS kind of has a tendency to overreact. But yeah, you see, Daybreaker Flint has done a lot more research in terms of math than I have. Math scares me. It doesn't, but I hate it. So yeah, it takes about 10 days to 14 days to go around the Cape, the Horn of Africa. So that's an extra 2 weeks. And I want to come back to a few things that people have said. But before I do, I want to talk about the car assembly thing. So car assembly, pharmaceuticals, a lot of other globalized assembly organizations, people that live by the just-in-time manufacturing. The just-in-time manufacturing is the idea of a reliance on global shipping and online sales to bring what a company needs when the company needs it. So instead of stockpiling or storage, we produce our own. Thank you. Hold on. That's so nice. That's like, yeah. Norway is sorted. We're all fucked, but Norway is sorted. So, yeah. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by the chat again. Yeah, turtle moves. I'm going to get into all of that now in a second. Yeah. So I just wanted to explain just-in-time manufacturing. So it relies on global shipping to make things more efficient, to make it cheaper, cut costs. Yeah. Less need for storage. Because if you have a surplus of raw materials that's just sitting there, you have to pay for storage. It's called stockpiling. And one of the problems is of the just-in-time manufacturing is that they cannot respond to emergencies. So this is why I'm going to murder you. Sable Eagle, Christ, look at this. I love this. Again, math. Say all I. Yeah, I know you were joking. But I can't even. Just math. That's the only response to you I have right now. But yeah, that's one of the reasons the reliance on the just-in-time manufacturing is one of the reasons why we were so slow to get PPE gear. Because, oh, okay. TTF 3700. List of largest shipping container ships are available on Wikipedia. They probably are. I'm mainly basing this off of my friend who works on these kind of ships. So yeah, it will definitely benefit Africa, especially in South Africa if it continues. But again, I'll get into that now in a minute. But yeah, the refusal to stockpile things, to store emergency backup, is why we had such a problem with PPE gear at the start of the first wave of the pandemic, because nobody could get it. There was only certain places that were providing it at the time, and they were going off of normal demand, supply and demand. So when you have emergencies like the virus that we're going through at the moment, it's very, very slow. You can't react to emergencies. So, I mean, is it more efficient? Well, this is a once in 100-year plague that we're facing. Is it justification to start stockpiling in Europe? I'm not sure that it is. It would probably be better to kind of half stockpile or stockpile some. Yeah, All right, so let's get into this. What can be done? What can be done? So there are a few ideas that have been thrown around. Yeah, Dave, math, not maths, math. In general, I stay away from it. I trust people that know what they're doing. Yeah, this is the issue. This is the issue. Everybody thought that they'd be able to order it when they needed it, and everybody needed it all at once. Supply and demand. When you can't issue when there's a shortage in supply, and then demand goes up, boom, we all had a big issue. And that's part of the problem with the globalized society. Now, I'm for a regulatory capitalist system, which some people in the chat might not like. But globalization, because we're so interdependent, they do throw up these issues. So there are farmers that can't get grain for their animals. There's going to be a delay in grain and soya. So that's going to be an issue for a lot of farmers, not just in Ireland, but throughout, not just in Europe, but also in America, because America gets a lot of its soy from Asia. Again, issue of globalization when you depend so heavily on international. Why do people keep sending me, dude? Oh, okay, yes. This, I've been looking for this. Hang on, I was kind of looking for this picture earlier. Let me see. Right, sorry. Again, I can't do two things at once, but thank you, Glass Monster. I was looking for that. So just to give you a better idea of the scale, I suppose, is this one. When you think of dredgers are big machines. This is a dredger. That is the ship. Gonna take a while. Better start digging, yes. They've already started digging, and we're going to get into that now. So there's been a few things. First of all, they could empty the ballistic tanks. The problem with emptying the tanks, one, you're going to fucking pollute. You're more likely to pollute the canal. And two, not that anything really is living in the canal, because there's so much bullshit going through there already. I'm going to need a smaller boat. Yeah, so one, they can empty the tanks, and that'll lighten the load a little bit. With less oil in the tanks, it might actually help. But then they also need, what's going on at the moment is they're using tugboats and they're trying to kind of pull it free both with wind, but they need the wind in the direction. Oh, dog found it. Thank you, dog. I'm not really paying much attention to Discord at the moment. I'm sorry. So if you're tagging me and stuff, you might as well DM me because I'll see that faster. Saudi wants to run. Yeah, I'll get to Saudi in a few minutes. So yeah, they could empty the ballistic tanks. They could also lighten the load. So they could take the going back to this. They could take the containers off. Here's the problem. Anyone spot the problem? Spot the problem and you might get a prize. What's the biggest problem with taking all of these shipping containers? And you're talking about 20,000 shipping containers of 20-foot long containers each. Anyone see a problem with this? Because I see one very, very fucking clearly. First of all, anyone? Hang on, well, no crane. There you go. Never again, no crane. It's actually worse than just not having a crane, because you could bring a crane in. But going back to this, yes, they're in the middle of the canal. That's another problem. But going back to this, look at where the dredger is and look at what's right behind it. Look at all that water right behind it. Look at what the bank is made of. You are not talking about having a place where it's concreted and bringing a crane in, it's not going to get stuck. Yeah, again, and Demon Orb has it bloody right as well. The sky cranes, if they were to bring cranes in, where's Leo when you actually need him? Yes, send Leo. Level Earth Observer can definitely sort it out. Just send Leo. Don't send him in a plane though, because there might be evidence of curvature. Yeah, there we go. In the middle of the canal, not a dock with a straddle cane. There's no dock. There's absolutely no dock. And taking that many containers off can take up to a month. So there's a big problem, a big problem. The other thing is relying on the tugging. Oh, there's more comments. Sorry. You'd use cranes on barges, not land-based. That's an interesting one. Because I think, well, but then you'd have to clear the 48-foot. They're not, no, on this one, as far as I'm aware, on the shipping container, the manifesto actually has 20-foot containers. They have 20,000 20-foot containers, not 48-foot. Yes. Sable Eagle again is doing math and scaring me with the math. But that would be an interesting one. Hold on. I'd love to say yes, it can be done. But again, you then have to, part of the problem is there's a backlog now. There's a backlog of 100 to 200 ships, and there's more coming every day. So you're asking a barge to be able to, first of all, navigate the canal around these huge tankers, and second of all, be able to take the gear off. And again, as well, if you have another freak storm, another sandstorm, with that amount of cargo on a barge, it could end up running that to ground. So you end up with 2 or 3 blocking the canal instead of 1. So that's yeah, there's issues. There's a lot of issues here. Sorry. Ooh. Sorry, you'd have to drop some people in there to throw stuff out of the containers onto other containers. Right. So let's actually talk about the containers itself. One of the reasons why, here's the conspiracy around it, which isn't exactly a conspiracy, but it is a conspiracy. The conspiracy is that, so everybody that works on the canal knows that although you have a highly skilled crew on board, you also need, in addition to this, what's known as pilots. Now, if you're familiar with sea talk at all, you'll understand what pilots are. These are the guys who will come on board and actually navigate you through the area. And blow it up, it's the best option. Yeah, so the pilots, I know conspiracies already. Oh, there's more conspiracies. One of the conspiracies is that this particular one was linked to Hillary Clinton and the whole, this is what QAnon is saying. Okay, this is the QAnon conspiracy, that it's actually a human trafficking. The reason why they won't take the cargo off is because it's full of people and human trafficking, which is bullshit. You get from space with the space lasers. Where's the space lasers, Mr. Andra? We need the space lasers. Apparently the Jews have a space laser. Where is it? It's bullshit. But where is it? Yeah. Even with all the equipment in the world, you still need qualified people to operate it. So it is a fully stocked ship of a decent sized crew. I think there was 12 people in the crew, between everything. And there was the pilots. Yeah, the Jewish space laser. That's what it was. Space laser. But the other conspiracy, the more rational conspiracy theory, is that the pilots, so when you navigate, and I was talking to my friend about this earlier, it's a well-known fact that when a pilot comes onto your ship and a co-pilot comes onto your ship, you let them dig around. They take what they want and they leave, and they navigate you through it's basically like formalized piracy. You know, they want something, you let them take it. They'll bring you through the canal safe and sound. And this shit, I'm qualified. Hold on. They actually don't need more than a 12-man crew. They actually don't need more than a 12-man crew on board the ship. This and again, this is coming from a friend of mine who actually works on the Suez Canal weekly. What was I saying? Damn chat. I get distracted so easily. I'm so bad. I forgot what I was saying. Where were we, people? Where were we? We had a plain tail ripped off by so the conspiracy around this particular piracy, yes. The formal piracy. So the conspiracy, quote unquote, is that one of the reasons why the pilot wasn't that the pilot ran into ground on purpose. That's the conspiracy, because the crew wouldn't let them take anything off the ship. Now, I can see that happening. Has anyone found the goat? Tatty, wrong show. Wrong show. There is no goat on this show. So, yeah. It is believed by some that it might be because the crew wouldn't allow the pilot to take anything off the ship, which is, it's respect, really. It's an unwritten rule of going through the canal that you give something to the pilots. And so back to what can be done. The tugging, which relies on both wind direction and the tides, is going to be an important one. But the dredging, you're talking about 20,000 cubic meters that has to be dredged. The minimum that they can dredge out this particular part, because this is a narrow part of the canal. Can I have a stop? The minimum that this can be done is 5 weeks, is what they're estimating. 5 weeks to 3 months. So that's a problem. That is a big problem. Yeah, tip your drivers. Definitely tip your drivers. That's in essence what the conspiracy is. I can see it happening, and yet the fact that there was a sandstorm, again, this wasn't just a little bit of wind. This was visibility gone down to like 5% or 10%. It's impossible to sail. Why the hell they didn't actually anchor in that kind of sandstorm, I don't know. It has been done before where a big sandstorm will come and all ships are ordered to anchor and they all go down to anchor. And yes, it has a bit of a backlog, but yeah, okay, Mr. Fenris, let me explain this. Corruption is a thing. They do get, depends on what you view as a massive fee. It really does. The shipping company pays them to do it. And they are very well trained. Why do they need to take shit as well? Because corruption. Because they can. Because they feel they've earned it. Because these containers, while yes, they get paid decent amounts, you're talking about globally, amongst all of the things, you're talking about $6 to $10 billion in profit a week for these companies. These pilots aren't millionaires. They're not millionaires. They get paid pretty well to do the job, but as a sign of respect from and because a lot of them also, separate to this, help distract pirates, like actual pirates coming up from Somalia at the entrance. So pilots' jobs are actually a lot more than what you might think. It's not just navigating the canal. It's also at the base of the canal to try and lure pirates away. And they don't have any weapons, by the way, in order to do that. And they don't get paid for that. So it's more than just, and again, this information is coming to me secondhand. This is coming from a friend who actually works the canals. So it is out of courtesy, out of respect, you will allow the pilot to take something from the ship. It's just a thing that happens. It's corruption, yes, but again, when you think of the massive amounts of, yes, because they can. It is a valid explanation because they can, because if you don't, you fear that they will run you to ground or they won't help you or whatever, even though they get paid. They don't get paid per ship. They get paid a set amount, if that makes sense, by the shipping companies. So they might have, you might have a contract, particular pilots might have a contract with a particular company. So they might be paid, they are paid separately in different amounts. Some pay better than others. And I am distracted by the chat. Yes, it is very true. Black market goods in Africa are stocked by this corruption. Yes, it is. But again, these are not millionaires. These pilots are not millionaires. There's oversight, Mr. Andrat. But again, it's just, even if there was no oversight, it is respect. It's like the tip jar. It is. It's like the tip jar in the restaurant. You don't have to tip your waiter. Your waiter gets paid to be there. But it's a decent thing to do, is to tip your waiter. People, when the economy opens back up, do not forget to tip your waiter. I have done that job. It is not a fun job. Yeah, very simply, it is. It's a different world. It's a completely different world to what we know and rely on. So yeah, it's easy to say, well, why are they getting stuff when they're paid to be there? It's like waiters in a restaurant. They're getting paid to be there, but it's the polite thing to do to tip your. And again, it's if they're polite, because some of them are very, very rude. So when they come onto the ship, they are quite rude because, again, Egyptians have a completely different manner than the Western society, I suppose. Not to say that they're ignorant, because we do have our fair share of ignorant people over here. Look at the Karens, look at the anti-maskers, look at the fucking auditors. What is it? The First Amendment auditors. We have our ignorant people. So depending on how nice you are to the captain, you're going to get something nice as a thank you for it's just politeness. It's just seen as politeness. And yeah, you sell it on 9 times out of 10. So the question is, what happens from here? If you don't tip your waiter, they spit in your soup. Don't wreck the global economy. I love it, Tusk. Tusk makes sense here. Tusk makes sense. Don't wreck the global economy. Tip your waiter. Tip your fucking waiter. Chris, I'm going to do a thing on this. Waiters don't get paid. Yeah. And I need to do a thing about not having automatic rights to your tips. But that's a whole nother story. All smiley waiters. Yeah. Don't even worry about it. Just tip your waiters. Just tip your waiters. That's the moral of this whole entire stream, is just tip your waiters. Oh, I use our gas. I love it. Hey, okay, let's get off the waiters thing. I'm just using that as an example. It's the best example that I can think of. So yeah, here's the alternatives to not getting it out. You can't put oil on a plane. Just not a good idea. It's just really not a good idea. And you don't have any planes that are big enough to actually take that amount of weight. Again, 4 million barrels on 10 containers. You're not going to get crude oil like that on, and it's not a good idea. Let's not put oil and gas onto an airplane. It just doesn't seem like a clever thing to do, especially when enemies have, weapons that can shoot down planes. Not a good idea. Yeah, everyone has the same idea. Tip your fucking waiter. And waiters do not get paid enough. But that is definitely for another Keelah Talks. I will definitely be going into that in detail, if anyone actually cares. But it is an important one. Yeah, so the only thing at the moment that they can do is tug and dredge and hope to lighten the load. The problem with lightening the load, as I said, there is not enough infrastructure there to actually lighten the load. And the other thing, which is very interesting, if I know a lot of people here don't follow global politics. I do. Again, nerd girl. Hi. The US and Turkey are both sending boats to the Suez Canal to actually help free it up. Now, if you know anything about politics, there has been a huge rivalry. I want to say rivalry. They hate each other, basically, between Turkey and Egypt. Going back hundreds of years. They hate each other. They seriously, seriously hate each other. So the fact that Turkey is actually willing to send Oh, okay. Thank you, Tiny Captain. That helps. That helps because the cube just came out of nowhere. Um, yeah, the fact that Turkey is willing to actually step in and lend a hand is huge, absolutely huge, and it could, if we're lucky, lead to a better relationship and less of a combative relationship between Egypt and Turkey. Who knew a ship getting stuck in the Suez Canal could actually lead to better peace talks in the Middle East? That'd be interesting. Yay, peace! Yay, peace! We need more of it. Um, yes. See, again, Sable. Sable has it all. Sable, I need to get. We will talk. Actually, we need to talk. Me, you, and Foe definitely need to talk about something. But yeah, here's the other problem. As well as 200 ships now waiting in the either 100 ships each end waiting to go through the canal. You also have, because of the lockdown. First of all, because of the lockdown, there's not as much traffic in terms of the huge super tankers that usually go through there. There's still quite a considerable amount, but there's not as many. And two, that has kind of picked up because of lockdown, because we're all ordering things online. We're ordering everything online. So a lot of that is made and comes in from Asia. Yes, there was actually Gregory, sorry. Gregory Nitsky says there were significant advances in peace when it was constructed. And again, after it was nationalized, because although in the immediate aftermath, Britain and France, who previously owned it, got their knickers in a twist and wanted to destroy any type of nationalization. What happened, again, we can't undervalue this, during the Cold War. The Cold War was just starting in the 1950s. You had the US and the USSR working together to actually keep it open and keep it nationalized and ensure that it was open for everyone, no matter where they kind of lay. Of course, it's going to help the USSR because, they won't be locked out of there like they were in World War One and World War Two. But it's still significant. It's still very, very significant that in every crisis that we've had on the Suez Canal, from construction right through, every crisis has brought nations together. Because why? Because there's a shitload of money involved. There is a hell of a lot of money involved in this. So when you're talking about $10 billion a day, a week, yeah, they're going to put aside their petty differences because capitalism is going to put money before anything else. If you have any illusions, I mean, I'm for capitalism. I hate to say it, I'm for capitalism. But I'm for regulatory capitalism. But capitalism will always put profits before anything else. So if you thought anything else, you're wrong. You're screwed. So yeah, hopefully this will increase the talks between Turkey and Egypt. If it works. If it doesn't, I fear we have another world war coming. But if it works, it could open up the doors to talks between Turkey. Not that I'm a big fan of Erdogan. He's not nice. Or Erdogan, sorry. Erdogan. So could open up doors to actually create peace or to help peace along. Yeah, I mean, that goes without saying. Hold on. That and it's a very important point. Who's going to pay for this? What was said earlier has to be repeated. Going around the south of Africa, though it would help the South Africans, it's going to take an extra 10 days to 2 weeks, an estimated $2.4 million in oil to get the tankers around the Horn of Africa. And it also leaves these shipping containers open, a lot more open to pirates off the coast of Somalia, which is another issue, which I will be getting into on Eye on Society. That is coming up very, very soon. And two, you're also talking about these huge tankers that are unfamiliar with using, because this has been open for so long. They don't know the path and the safest paths around South Africa. So they're still going to use pilots from South Africa who know the waters. They're going to have to. But going around the Horn of Africa and the Cape of Hope, you're talking about you're open to the elements there a lot more than you would be. Oh, you were talking about goods being delayed. No. Yeah. You're talking about going out into the elements in unfamiliar, uncharted, well, they are chartered waters, but uncharted waters to the crew, because the crews on board these vessels are not used to going around that way because it's just too dangerous. And the question has to be, it's going to be interesting. The question has to be, will they make it? I mean, if they go out far enough, they will. But the port of Rotterdam, yeah. Yeah, so they're the questions. But who's actually going to pay for it? It's going to be storm season. Yes, the Cape of Storms. So the question, yeah, that I worry about that. I'd be very interested to see, because I know there's a few containers, or there's a few vessels now that are actually going to take the risk of going around the Horn of Africa. I think it'll be interesting to see. But the other question is, as well as who's going to pay for all of this, the bigger question is, what will happen when it's free? When the Ever Given is actually freed, you're going to have a backlog of, I would say, depends. If they actually turn, if they actually turn around, because a lot of the ships are now anchored. They've been ordered to anchor. So if they're going to turn around, some of them can't. Some of them are stuck there until this is resolved. But if they can turn around and go around the Horn of Africa, you're still looking at about 200-300 ships. 200-300 ships by the end of the week that are going to be stuck behind the Ever Given. The big problem there is who's going to get to use the canal first, because a lot of them will want to get through because of, especially in the southern part, you're talking about pirates. Piracy is going to be an issue. Piracy is definitely going to be an issue. If anyone thinks that piracy is not going to be an issue beyond just the pilots, then they're sadly mistaken. You are going to see over the next few days an increase. At the moment, there's 80,000. There's 80,000 troops. And that's just British troops, UK troops. There's 80,000 stationed in and around the canal. So they're going to have a serious job on their hands to actually protect those ships. And again, who's going to pay for it? That's the big thing. If this goes on, you're looking at what? If you're talking 5 weeks, 50 billion? The Lords of London will end up paying it. So basically, ordinary people, in order to bail them out, because that's what's going to happen. So I'm gonna give it to you guys. I've told you what I think, and yes, I've been reading the chat because this is fascinating to understand what you guys think. One thing is for sure, Egypt is making a lot of money out of it. Yes, Tiny Captain. They will definitely be looking to make a killing out of this. Because again, look at how far up the Ever Given is. Like, it's right there. And of course, all of these ships around, they're going to have to be fed. Who's going to feed them? The only people that can feed them are Israel, if they care enough to, Jordan, and Egypt. So that's the question. Who's going to feed these guys? All of them have to be fed. And you're talking 100, 200, 300 ships. Priority shipping takes on a new meaning in the canal. Fuck yeah, that's right. What do ships eat? You're talking about between, 12 and 20 of a crew on each ship. Yes, hold on. There's about 80,000 troops, UK troops in the area. And that is since, I think, 2016, I want to say. There was previously 100,000. In and around World War II, there was 100,000. And they pulled out a lot of their troops. And then over the last couple of years, does the UK even have 80,000 troops? Yes, and most of them are on the Suez Canal because they wanted to make sure their interests were protected. Well, not most of them. They actually have quite a lot. But between the UN, but UK troops, they have around 80,000 there. And I know this because I was in Jordan, Lebanon, Israel, Palestine. I was around that area. And just at the southern point of Jordan, really, just at the kind of edge of Israel, which is a lot where there's a few refugee camps, which is where I was. We relied very, very, very heavily on the UK troops. We did. There was a few times where militia groups would come and try to burn out the refugee camps, and we relied heavily on UK forces that were in the area. And that's how I know. And that was only a couple of years ago. That wasn't too long ago. So there was, at that point, there was 80,000 troops there. So yeah, that was an interesting one. Anyway, where am I? Fish and chips. Fish and chips instead of fish and chips for the Americans' fries. But yeah, the other thing, Gregory puts an interesting one. And it was said earlier that it might be efficient to run a channel, to do a little channel around. Jenny Morgan said it earlier. Might be just as efficient to do a little channel around. The problem is that if you were to do a channel, again, you have to remember how big these ships are. They're fucking huge, some of them. You would need to build it wide enough. You would need to... Hello, Tina Jones. You would need to build it deep enough. And the problem with that is, although we think there's a reason to do it, the problem with that is if you divert operations from freeing the Ever Given, then it's going to take a lot longer to free the Ever Given. It's not going to take 5 weeks to 3 months. It's going to take a lot longer because you're diverting the little resources that you have. And as well, again, coming back to, there is no infrastructure there. So a new channel is going to cost arms and legs. Yeah, it's going to take a hell of a lot of time. It would take more time getting the equipment that you need building it deep enough, wide enough, than it would to actually. It would also have to be long enough for other ships to maneuver. Yes, and it would just divert. My biggest issue with it would be it would divert all of the concentration. For feck's sake, Sable-Eagle again. Here's the math. I love you, Sable-Eagle. Seriously. You'd need it 20 meters deep, 100 meters wide, 131 kilometers long, and, whoa, 786 million tons of rock just below sea level. So that's a big ask. It's a big ask. And again, like, this is the third to happen in 20 years. Like, that's, when you're talking about capitalism and the bottom line is profit, the bottom line is money, where are you going to put your resources? Where are you going to put your resources? Into building a whole new canal, or just freeing up the one ship that might not happen again for another 20 years? Realistically, realistically, it would just be easier just to get the Ever Given free in any way, shape, or form that you have to do it. If it takes 5 weeks, it takes 5 weeks. If it takes 3, it takes 3. But it has to be done. You can't just leave the Ever Given there, because, again, there are ships right behind the Ever Given on either side, on both sides. So even trying to get them out would be the next task, because they're not going to be able to just turn around. Truth be told, they're not going to be able to just turn around. Most of them. They're too big. And they'll end up getting stuck. And then you'd just be screwed with a whole load of boats stuck in the water, which is funny. Yeah, I mean, it's not just a cost risks question. It's a matter of cost and time. Is it going to take more time to build a new canal? Yes. I mean, that, I hate to say it, that goes without saying. It's going to take a lot more time, because you, again, with certain areas in this region, you're talking about mountains. Just there on the right-hand side where it says Ever Given, just there is a mountain range. So you're talking about digging into hard rock. It's not just sand. It's not just earth. You're also digging into rock. So it's not that easy to do. So I can't see them doing it. I would love to see that happen, because, again, it's a backup. But, again, is it worth it? Is it worth it when you have 1, maybe 2 that goes a decade? It does say Evergreen. Just to explain this, sorry. Evergreen is the name of the company, but the name of the ship is the Ever Given. Just so Evergreen is the name of the company. So usually they'll have, on one side they'll have the company, on the other side they'll have the Ever Given, the name of the ship. So just to let you know, or at the back, at the hull of the ship, they usually have the name of the ship. But it is the Ever Given. Evergreen is the name of the company that owns the Ever Given. So thank you for raising that. Just, I know, I don't think it was just you that noticed that. But yeah. See, on the side here, it's actually Ever Given on the hull of the ship. It says Ever Given. So Evergreen is the name of the ship, the company. Fascinated by the chat, because Sable-Eagle, obviously, you know quite a lot about it. Tiny Captain, I love the fact. Yes, we have Skydiver Tanner. You only missed an hour and a half. Like, only missed an hour and a half. You're all good. Hope you're well, Tanner. I was there at your stream the other day. It was very touching. It was incredible to see. So thank you for that. Yes, so we have a few of the 4 swordsmen in the house. And I'm not saying that ever again. But yeah, we do have the swordsman. But don't worry, Tanner. Here's a great thing. Here's a great thing about YouTube, right? You can rewatch it. Yay! I know, I don't really, well, I do. I rewatch some. But anyway, sorry. There we go, Mr. Ferris. Thank you for correcting me. The ship is actually leased, not owned by Evergreen. I did not know that. I thought it was a subsidiary of the Japanese company that owned the ship, but it's leased. Okay. Yes. It's like trying to dig out your car from a snowdrift with a toothpick. Look at the scale. Look at the scale. And you can't just use jets of water to clear the mud and sand. The problem with that is that it's so, it would take too long to clear, and I'm not sure. I'm genuinely not sure if that's possible for that scale of a thing. So J Rock asks, why not dredge? They are. This is the start of the dredging process, which is going to take at least 5 weeks, in my estimate. They are bringing in a lot more machinery to help with the process. So yeah, I'd say it'll take at least 5 weeks, in my view. Some are saying 3. I mean, where would the mud go? There are places on the banks that the mud could go. There's plenty of space behind the canal, or beside to the left, at least, of the canal. The right hand side, as I said, you're dealing with mountains, right off the banks, so that's a little bit more difficult. I think that would spread the banks more evenly along under the hull rather than washing it away from the hull. Yeah, I'm not sure. But yes, when they call themselves green and they're not actually green, I don't know why they called it Evergreen. But Evergiven is the name of the ship that we're talking about. Put a bunch of blow dryers at the poles and let the water levels rise. Boom, free. Here's the thing, yeah. So this is what I wanted to say earlier. So on the Wednesday, the Evergiven kind of did get itself free because of the tides. And whatever happened, it actually went further into the banks instead of being able to maneuver free. So it actually caught itself even worse than it was before. So it was half, if I can say half, not that there is such a thing as half freed, but it was kind of, the tides did help. Yeah. The tides did help. It helped actually embed it even further into the banks, but okay. So, yes, it's a shit ton. It's a fucking shit ton. It's not even a metric ton, it's a shit ton of material that would have to be moved in the dredging process. But again, if you have, and here's again, I want to reiterate, look at the banks there. It is all mud and sand. There is no infrastructure for this kind of operation. So what you're actually, yeah, what a pig, right? What you're actually most likely to do is you're actually likely to destroy some of your equipment, because if there is a mudslide at all, if the tides come and wash away the banks, then the machinery is going to get screwed as well. So especially with that amount of machinery that they would need to bring in, i.e. trucks to move the muck and the dirt, dredgers, they'd need at least 7 on each side. And even then, where are they going to put them? They don't have the infrastructure to do that. So it's going to be an interesting thing to see how they actually get it out. Yeah, we need the UFOs. We need the UFOs. Where the fuck are the UFOs? US government, if you have any UFOs in your midst, now's the time to use them, guys. Now is the time to use them. Might as well be using a teaspoon. Yeah, look, I mean, look at the scale of that shit. Look at the scale of that. There's a big difference, you know? J-Rock, to be honest with you, I do think anything and everything should be used. And you'll see now, as soon as their pockets are hit, as you can see with the US, as you can see with Turkey already, Turkey has had centuries-long arguments and disagreements with Egypt. They have never helped them in anything. God damn it. We could run a crane from the firmament. Oh, you guys are hilarious. I love it. Get Leo in. I think we need to call Leo. Get level Earth Observer in there. He can sort it. He has high IQ. Get him to sort it. Definitely. There we go. We don't have a magnet big enough, but that would be a fun way. That's an imaginative way. Get someone to hold a big magnet upstream and on the opposite side of the bank and pull. That'd be we don't have, the only magnet I can think of is big enough is in the intro to Animaniacs, where if anyone has seen Animaniacs, they'll know what I'm talking about. Yes, J-Rock. To an extent. And I think that's what they're aiming to do. But if they were to reduce and lighten the load a little bit, I think that would also help. But again, you're talking about, even if you do dredge the area, you're also talking about dredging under the ship itself. And that's going to be very difficult to do because it might actually be stuck on the banks under where the cranes can get to. So that's another problem. Attach a bunch of SpaceX rockets. Yeah, launch them at the same time. There we go. That would be fun. I have the image of, like, you know, putting a rope around the bars and just going boom and just seeing the bars fly up and the ship just stay there. Get helium from NASA. It's buoyancy, not gravity. For anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about here, I do a lot of conspiracy theory, explaining conspiracy theory stuff and explaining why they're wrong. And we have a lot of experience with conspiracy nuts. There we go. Get God to put it back on the water. That's the answer to everything. Pray. Again, you're talking about like a couple of ships. You'd need a couple of ships as big or nearly as big as the Ever Given. And again, you have to remember this: the Suez Canal, it only has like 1 lane or 2 lanes. It's not that big. It's not as, again, look. Where am I? Brand account. This is the width of the canal. Like, it's not a huge space. It's enough to fit 2 tankers going either way. I know, J-Rock. I know. Gas monster with the magnets. Get the magnets out. Yeah. So here, emptying the ballistic tanks could make it unstable. Dredging under the ship could also make the ship unstable. So it would have to be done. It's not going to be an easy fix. It's definitely not going to be. Turn off gravity. Beep, beep, beep. Back a couple of ships a mile down. Oh, you guys are gas. Sorry, ballast. Yes. Yes, that one. I'm trying. Like this was explained to me by a friend of mine, and it's a lot to take in when you're not fluent in marine talk. Big nuke. Here's the thing with a big nuke: it'll also destroy everything. But even with that, again, someone said sink the ship. You're talking about, first of all, they're not going to sink the ship; it costs too much. Second of all, there's 20,000 containers worth of goods. They're not going to sink it. Not a hope are they going to sink it. Thirdly, the price to send something to sink it, the price to send something to sink it will cost more than dredging and what they're talking about now. So that's ultimately the problem. Hopefully. But I did want to have just an interesting discussion about it, because a lot of people are watching it but have no idea what the hell is going on and why it's so important. But again, when you're talking about 10 billion worth in profit a week, there's a lot of things that has been suggested here. There's a lot of things that has been suggested here that they won't do, but would be fun to watch. Yeah, that's my point. The canal is too shallow to sink. You can't sink it. That's what it is. It has one lane and a small part double to let two convoys pass each other. That's what I meant. Sorry. And this is the narrow part, one of the narrowest parts of the canal. So, trying to get a few things up there and a few ships up there to actually help. It's not a big space to work in. That's why the tugboats are there. And again, if the US and Turkey actually send stuff, it'll be good to see the cooperation. Yeah. Tugs. That's what I said. Tugs. You need the tugboats. And this is why you need tugboats. But they need a lot more tugboats. And sorry, all of a sudden I really like saying tugboat. But yeah, hopefully over the next few days, we will get a better understanding of what's to be done. I'm just going to throw this up there. Because I always forget to actually throw that up there. But yeah. Yay, I have patrons. So thank you, patrons. My patrons are very, very, what's the word? Patient. Maybe Ken Ham can get his dinos to pull it. Glass Monster, if Ken Ham has dinos, doesn't Ken Ham think dinos are fake? Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, hopefully they can get it free. The tugboats, there's 8 tugboats working at the moment, 4 on each side. Marine traffic is halted going into the canal. So they're going to have to do something in order to get the thing free. And all we can do, sadly, is wait. All we can do right now is wait and see. But I do like to guess. I do like to have this... Yeah, Kent Hovind is a big dino denier. Oh no, Kent Hovind actually... Isn't Kent Hovind the one that believes that dinosaurs existed with people? I don't know. I can't remember. I don't listen to them that much. I need to listen. No, I can't do that. I can't listen to them. Both Ken Ham and Kent Hovind can go fuck off. I can't do it. But there we go. It'll come free. It'll come free once, fast enough, once Dr. Banner gets angry about it being stuck there. Yeah. Huge plot land, and it'll be found. It will be found. Dredge the shit onto the land. That's the solution. We'll see. Unfortunately, the only way of knowing what comes next is by sitting and watching all the rich people get panicked. Because I'm telling you now, as soon as the rich people really, really, really start to get panicked, they're going to have to do something about it. Once it hits that week, they're going to be like, okay, we gotta get this free. They were on the ark. Were they on the ark? Is that Kent Hovens that thinks that they were on the ark? Anyway. It flows from north to south because, and the reason why I know it flows from north to south is because it's the Nile that the Nile River flows from south to north, and that's an interesting one. But yeah, it's north to south as far as I'm aware. Wiggle it. Wiggle it. A ship. It's a ship, not an independent variable. Yeah, ask Ken to arrange another flood. That's the biggest problem. That is the biggest problem that I can see, because I don't think hang on, I'm going to bring this back up because again the scale is important. But looking at this, hang on, I take that down. Sorry, I'm going to take this down. Looking at this, it does not seem to be that it's the bank itself that it's stuck on. It seems to me that it's stuck under the water. It's under the hull. So trying not to tear or damage the hull, that's going to be the problem. J-Rock, thank you very much for coming. But we will be discussing a lot more like this because it's just fun. Gary Why Bother thinks the dinos were genetically engineered. Gary Why Bother was actually nice to me in a chat for a change. I think it was Mr. Sensible's chat. Once he actually had a proper conversation, but okay. Thanks for coming, J-Rock. Have a good evening. I don't know where in the world you're in, but it is 20 to 1 where I'm at. So I'll be going to bed soon myself. Any more suggestions as to what they should do? Because I'm interested in knowing like real suggestions or fake ones. I don't care. I'm a flag. Which flag? Which flag? Yeah. An empty container ship and ship containers onto it. That's something that we were talking about earlier, the suggestion that it's 3 a.m. I wanted to clock out. Gregory, if you need to go, absolutely go and sleep, you crazy person. Thank you for staying up till 3 a.m. to watch this. That's incredible. J-Rock is in Canada. Yay, Canada! No, there's no flag coming up. Not for me, anyway. Where was I? Other than the flag. Yes, the idea of taking the containers off. One of the problems with, first of all, it's fully loaded, so there's about 20,000 shipping containers. And that might be the only way that they're going to do it. If they were to send a shipping container up each way, they can take off about 100. Again, 100 at a time. But 100 at a time is still minuscule to what they actually need. From what I know, that's from talking to my friend earlier. Yes, profile pictures can take up to 24 hours to load. Is it though? That's what I'm talking about. It is stuck on the banks, yes, but I also think that it could be stuck further along the hull. That's not just on the edge of the hull. I think it's right under now because it was that way initially. It was stuck on the just edging on the banks, but now it's right up on the banks. So it's right under the hull as far as I'm aware, because of the partial freedom that it got. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Again, the only way of knowing what they're going to do is wait and see. In the meantime, Tusk, you're not getting your guitar. I'll loan you mine, but I can't actually send anything to the UK at the moment. Yes, people didn't know I have a guitar. I do. I have 3. I have 3 guitars and a keyboard. Yeah. Sikorsky Sky Crane can do it. But again, it's getting the Sky Cranes in. And that's going to take up a lot of space. So I'm not sure. I'd love to see it happen. It'll be interesting to see what actually happens. No, a helicopter cannot lift a 2-ton container with 15 tons or 20 tons of cargo in it. No. I would love to think maybe 4, I don't know, but no, it wouldn't be able to. It would not get the lift that it needs to be able to actually. Remember, 220,000 ton displacement. That's a lot to move. Well, it's 20,000. That's a lot to move a little bit at a time. From memory, a 40-foot container can hold about 30 tons. So these are 20-foot containers that they have on, as far as I know. It will take forever, but what's the alternative? You know, the dredging is going to take forever. And if they take off little bits and see if that works alongside the dredging, it might free it up a little bit more, but there's no telling whether or not lightening the load will actually work. That's the problem. And would it be easier to dump the fuel? In which case, how do you get it off the canal after you dump the fuel? You can't really do it. So yeah, there's big issues. There's big issues there. Thankfully, it's a container of stuff and not oil. Because if it was oil on that tanker, it would be a lot more dangerous of a situation, in my view. So yeah, I only intended to go for an hour tonight. And because of all you wonderful people, we're nearly hitting 2 hours. That is crazy. Thank you so much for staying with me and having this conversation with me. I am hoping to release over the next few days the Challenging Conspiracies video that I've been promising. It is on, and the word is gone from me again, chemtrails, and why chemtrails are not a thing, but where the idea of chemtrails came from. And then on Sunday, I will be back. You can't get rid of me. I will be back for Life on the Flip Side, which will start at 11:30 a.m. UTC. So I'm not quite sure. People know. You can do your own math. As it's been obvious, I can't do my own math. Math equals no. Yay, new crafty video. Yes. Because like a lot of people do like the analysis that I give. The only thing with it is it takes a lot of research, and you kind of need to be in the mood. And we have Clive Wells in the chat. You kind of have to be in the mood to be able to get it all done. And as I said, I get distracted very, very easily. I'm sorry. So Chris has been on to me about this every week. And thank you, Chris, for caring so much. But Clive comes in just at the end to ask me to say treat. So treat. Treat. There you go. Enjoy that, Clive. Enjoy. That's going to be clipped for Clive to torture me with. I don't know. Right. So I know Tanner. He comes in just at the end with a tree. I don't know if he's been listening and lurking. But can you say you were here? Can you actually? I don't know. Clive is a busy man. People don't realize how busy Dr. Clive Wells is. I know, he hates being called doctor. Yeah, it's a conspiracy. 33 confirmed. Yes, Clive, you can say you were here. PST begins Sunday. Oh yes, British Standard Time begins Sunday. Fuck. Damn. I forgot about this. So doesn't the clocks move forward? So we lose an hour? Well, can you really say you were here if you were only here for like 2 minutes, Clive? Can you? Meh. Can it really be counted? People, what say you? Can it really be counted? I don't know. But Clive does Clive does show up a lot of my live streams, which is amazing to me because he's amazing. He is incredible. But yeah, we get robbed of an hour of sleep. And what's worse, actually, okay, no, it's not that bad. So it's been suggested that I might be getting a promotion in work and transferring to a new department, which would mean possibly working from 5:30 in the morning until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, which would be awesome. Or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I don't know. I have documentary evidence in the chat. Again, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Can that really be counted? Yeah, spring forward, fall back. Thank you. I always forget. I do. So it's looking likely that I might be starting a lot earlier and finishing a lot earlier, which gives me my evenings back. So, but it also means there's questions about how late my streams will be able to go. Now, I usually keep it to kind of 2 hours max, except for on special occasions where my birthday stream went on for 4 hours nearly. Again, amazing to me that people stuck around. No, not dirty tree. 30. 33. So T-I or T-Y. C-H or E-E. That's how I pronounce it. That's the phonetics. But it's fall. It's only fall to certain people, weird people who live on the southern hemisphere. And actually, I think it's coming into winter, isn't it? It's coming into winter for the Aussies. I think. Well, we have our summer, they have their winter. Hate that. A poop tree? I'm confused. Tanner, explain yourself. Poop tree? Or shit tree? Isn't that supposed to be shit tree? I don't know. Oh, you guys. Yes, Sable Eagle calls it right. We didn't have fall. We don't have fall. We have autumn. I like the word autumn a lot better. Autumn is a nice word. We don't exist here in Australia. Winter in a couple of months away. Yes. Indeed. Right, guys, girls, and everyone in between who prefers not to choose a gender, which is fine by me. Anything that makes you happy. Guys, I'm going to go. I need to sleep. Actually, well, I do and I don't because I'm not in work. But yeah, I'm going to go because sleep is calling and I've been in work for 10 hours today. First of all, thank you to every single patron who donates to the channel. It really does help. It got me my Audio Technica. It got me it helped pay for the laptop that I'm using, which means that I can actually create videos. So a huge thanks to all of those people that are scrolling along the screens. I understand that not everyone can give to the channel. I can't give a lot to other channels. I don't get paid enough. I wish I could donate to every channel that I love, but unfortunately I can't. I am very close. I'm getting very close to monetization. So if you do want to support the channel, you can. I was having this discussion with Conspiracy Cats. He will kill me if I don't turn on monetization, so it will be turned on once I get monetized. But here's the thing, guys. Monetization means shit. It means shit. It doesn't mean anything, in my view. I have a full-time job. I do this for fun. I do this out of interest. And I do this for you guys because the fact that you're interested in what I have to say astounds me every day. So I'm going to keep going as long as you guys keep with me. So if you can't donate to this channel, that is absolutely fine. You donate your time, which is so much more valuable. So all I do ask is if you're not subscribed, please do subscribe, subscribe again and subscribe again. Like the videos, like the streams. It really, really does help. And just please stay safe and stay amazing. Because if anything was to happen to any of you, I would be very, very unhappy. I'd be very sad. So guys, thank you for being a support network in this crazy little community and journey that I'm on with YouTube. I wouldn't be able to do it without you. I really couldn't. I could stream, but if there's nobody watching, what's the point in streaming? So thank you for staying with me, and thank you for contributing. I will be back on Sunday morning for those of you in my time zone, Sunday evening for those of you in other time zones, or very, very fucking early ungodly hours for those of you in the North American side of the world, which you're more than welcome to wake up at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock to come to my live stream. I think you're mad, but you're more than welcome to come. This week we have Jessica G on. She found the goat first. So the deal with Life on the Flip Side, if you haven't been there before, myself and Steam and Cup of Reason alternate on the channels. So do sub to Steam and Cup of Reason as well. Make sure that bell icon is switched on so you actually get the alerts. And yes, I'm told by YouTube now how many people are getting the bell, are doing the bell. Ding, ding. Thank you, Mr. Fenris. That's really, really sweet. I don't know. I hate my accent sometimes, but if you guys like it, I'm happy enough. Yes, Clive, you can now say you were validly on the stream because it's been longer than 5 minutes. But yeah, other than that, stay fucking safe. Wear your masks. Be awesome. Put up a playlist. There are playlists. There actually are playlists. Can you ask Jessica why she hates kittens? We will be discussing that. I will absolutely ask her why she hates kittens. But you have to answer why you hate kittens. Because apparently you hate kittens. I know from Roxy's stream you say you don't, but I don't know. From the word is that she kicks kittens in one of her games. I don't know how true that is. The goat is driving the excavator. So yes, if you come along to Life on the Flip Side, half an hour before the end, we have Spot the Goat. And if you spot the goat first, when the goat bleats, then you have the ability to come on the stream. So it's just a way of us having a chat and having a random hangout and having a bit of a laugh. Other than that, guys, thank you so much. And I will see you when I see you. Hopefully you'll be there on Sunday. If not, next Friday, by the way, next Friday, we will be back with Ion Society. We'll be looking at Belarus with Mr. Clapperjack. So I'm very excited for that. Stay safe. Wear your mask. Be awesome. Don't forget to come back. Bye.